See if the computer gods are ready.
Payday is here and the check is in the mail. Payday, payday. Payday, get to it.
Shimmy that. Maybe I wasn't ready when I said I was.
No point in not coming back the way we left.
That's all right, man. Come back rusty. Come back dusty. This is the trusty, sometimes musty guy who rides a husky. I'm Sean Cove, and I am here with my brethren, Payday Jones. I forgot your name. I haven't seen you in so long.
But that's why I put it at the beginning of each song so that you remember.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So today is the 3rd of July because we go live and we are not going to lie to the people about the date. Podcasts do that, which I don't understand.
I think
they go like, don't date us.
Well, yeah. Whoa, I'm blown out there. Hold on. I think it's because they want to be able to replay it and not have it sound dated because a lot of them don't tackle current events type topics.
Right.
So you could play the same show on any given day and it won't matter.
Yeah.
So they don't want you listening to the show and you're like, oh, I really agree with everything he's got to say, but he said it 3 years ago. So
now it's irrelevant.
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. If you say it 3 years ago, it doesn't count. It doesn't count.
No, a lot has happened in 3 years.
It's got to be in the 24-hour news cycle.
That's the only way it works.
Which, big news. We got a couple things on the agenda today.
Okay.
I got some issues with my bike.
Okay.
I think me and you briefly discussed it.
Okay.
But you don't know how ugly it got.
I do not.
You got no idea how ugly things have get.
Except for a couple. Can you search for some parts?
We got the bikes I touched segment coming up, and then we have some news. I uncovered a bunch of news, some dirt bike news.
Okay.
Which direction would you like to start?
Well, let's get into it. Let's get into your mechanical prowess and how that goes for you.
Now, people have... there's this kind of aura? No. Like a myth, maybe. Yeah, there's this myth that, like, carbs are a headache to deal with.
Carburetors.
Yeah,
okay.
Carburetors, right?
Right.
So... I don't know the last time my carb was cleaned, but I'm having problems with my bike. I was fouling plugs, and the bike's just shutting down on me. So okay. I'm like, all right, well, first thing I kind of figured to do is clean the carb out.
Dive on in. Get the carbon residue out of there.
I even ordered a rebuild kit for the carb.
Okay.
So, but I kept putting it off because people keep talking about carbs and how they're this kind of nightmare almost.
Okay.
And nobody has said carbs are a nightmare, but just kind of the way people speak about them.
You don't want to mess with that.
Yeah. So finally, I get to this past week. My bike dies all the way.
Okay.
Fouled a plug, brought it back to the house, put one in, kick-started it. It ran for 15 seconds, died again, put a new plug in, wouldn't start at all.
Okay.
So I'm like, damn, dude. All right, well, I guess I'm cleaning. I was trying to get out to ride that on Monday night, but that didn't happen. So my wife and kids are gone for 2 weeks, which means I moved the kitchen table out of the kitchen and brought the husky right into the kitchen.
Are you sure you want to say that on the air?
She's not going to listen to this. So I got the husky parked in the kitchen on top of a piece of cardboard because I'm a gentleman, obviously.
Of course.
And I start taking it out. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to, I forget. I was going to do some small thing.
Okay.
Oh, I was just going to take the carb out.
Okay.
I was like, I'll just take it out now, and then maybe tomorrow I'll clean it. I don't want to get into this whole process.
You're just doing your prep work tonight.
Exactly. So I take it out. I wind up cleaning it and then rebuilding it all that same night. Yeah. Because, as I've said prior, I put off doing maintenance as if I don't like it.
Right.
And then I crack open the toolbox, and I'm like...
You're in heaven.
I'm zoned in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's just not that hard, right? There's a couple of parts in there, but also if you got a half a brain, you take it apart and you put it all back together the same way.
Right.
You know, it's not as crazy as it was made to sound. So I pretty easily cleaned it on the countertop of the kitchen.
Okay.
And then I didn't have time to put it back in, so I wait till the next day. I put it back in the next day, and I keep I'm having no
You're
luck.
Still dying out.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even getting started now at this
you couldn't
point.
even get a spark. All right.
Now, I'm like, it can't be the carb. It's all clean. I know I put it back together the same way that I took it out, and it just can't be. It can't be. So I start kind of looking around. I'm getting fuel. I emptied out the gas tank, right?
Okay.
So I know fuel is flowing through the petcock because I emptied it and put brand new fuel in the bottom of the tank. Just a little bit, not much.
Just enough to test out your work.
Yeah. So I'm getting fuel.
Is your sound bar not work?
He's a good man, actually.
There we go.
No, I was getting it to that point.
Oh, okay.
It was probably, yeah, it's fine. So, new gas.
So you got some new gas in there. You know that
Clean
it's not
carb.
the gas line. You cleaned out the carburetor.
I took the air filter off.
Okay.
Right? Because somebody also had recommended, like, hell, it's the air filter, dude.
Well,
They're like, when's the last time you cleaned it? I said, 3-4 rides ago. They're
Right.
like, oh, it's the air filter.
right, for sure.
It's got to be the air
Always
filter.
in the backwoods building up dirt. It's got to be that.
I'm like, but I looked at the air filter. It didn't look particularly dirty. I mean, it gets a little bit dirty, but I get
Not enough to choke out the engine.
4 or 5 rides. I'm still good. But I take the air filter off to get full airflow just in case that's the issue, right?
Okay.
Now, hopefully there's, some dirt bike mechanics out there watching this, and they can tell me exactly what I'm doing wrong in various different comments.
Right.
I want you to each sentence should be a different comment of what you're telling me that I'm doing wrong.
We'll
here.
get you a decision tree together so you
Yeah.
can figure this out.
So I'm looking to see if I get spark, right? And it doesn't look like it, but I can't tell for sure. The only chance I have is to hold the spark plug in my hand while I kick the engine to feel if I'm getting spark. I'm like, it's kind of sunny out.
Okay.
I can't tell if I'm getting spark. I'll feel if I put the spark plug in the palm of my hand.
Yeah.
Then I'll feel if I'm getting spark.
That is one way to do it, I suppose.
Now I've never felt a spark plug, so I don't know how strong it is.
Right.
I've been shocked by 110 lines and 220 lines.
Well, you're well past what a spark plug can output.
That's
for
what I
you.
figure. It can't be worse than a 110 line.
No.
Right? I don't think 110 volts are running to a spark plug. I'm no electrician, but it seems...
It's usually 12. Depending on your battery, it's 12 volts or 120 amps.
If I thought that through, I would say yes, that's true. But I don't have... it's not my battery. It's from the stator, which is, I guess...
But that's basically the same voltage as the battery, more or less.
I would assume so.
Yeah, it's just like
It's
a car where it's going to
12,
start off
give or
the
take.
battery and then kick over to the running motor.
Right.
But still, either way, you're not getting 110. You're not getting 110 out of it.
Why do they call it a stator instead of a starter?
I don't know. I'm not that far into the bike slide yet.
All right. Well, get there.
I will.
You're the guy I look to for these kind of answers.
I understand, and
Because I
apologize.
also, when I couldn't find when there wasn't a fresh idle screw in the rebuild kit,
Right.
obviously I go to the guy who doesn't have a dirt bike or really know
Never really took a dirt bike engine apart. Or
right,
anything like that.
and ask him if he knows where to find the fuel filter.
And you were sweet enough to not even really tell me what it was. Just show me a picture of a screw and say, "You got
I
anything
need
like
one
this?"
of these. Let me get one of these.
No, not even something like not even a banana in the picture for scale or anything like that. Just here's a thing that's broken. Can you get me another one?
Yeah. Well, you tried. So this no spark from the plug.
Right.
Hold it in my
okay.
hand, kick it over, nothing.
But this isn't the first plug that you've tried, right? Like it sounds like through this progression here, you've put other plugs in.
Oh, I've been changing plugs left and right.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad plug.
Right. It's the plug is
something.
not getting power for some reason.
Now, I'm completely lost on. I'm learning this, right? So I don't know what comes in the line. I just learned that stator is the beginning of your electrical circuit,
Right.
basically. So I pop off the front headlight, and I'm looking at wires that are, some of them I know are wired for the rear fender, so you can put a
For the
brake light. Some of them is a harness for a headlight, should you want to put one on. I got a number plate, but if I want to put a headlight on, I got the wiring.
Right.
Some of them are mystery wires.
Sure.
One of those mystery wires is snipped, and I go, oh, that's it.
That's got to be it.
This has got to be the problem.
No idea how it got snipped, but it's definitely the issue.
This obviously, it's not, it wasn't snipped. It was more,
Was it like frayed?
yeah, like broken.
Okay.
So I'm like, yeah, that's obviously what the issue is.
What else could it be?
Now I just have to figure out what frayed off of the other end of it.
Just look for the same color and match it.
It wasn't that easy.
Did it come out of like the Molex connector and you had to figure out which pin it went in?
I don't know where it came out of. It may have always been there that way. I'm really not sure. This dirt bike has been through at least 4, possibly 5 owners.
Okay.
This is not a fresh dirt bike. The Husky is a clapped out old girl.
Yeah.
She's 15 years old. She's been through a couple of guys. She's been ran through.
Yeah. She's your practice bike at this point.
So I call the guy I got it from.
Okay.
Actually, I text him. I say, hey, if you got some time, give me a call. I got a little problem here.
Did you know the guy you got it from prior to getting the bike from him?
No.
Okay.
But he's seems like a very solid guy.
Just asking.
He owned the bike originally,
Okay.
went through a couple people. He got it back,
Found its way back to him.
and then I got it.
All right.
So he's, I said, when you get a chance, call me. Because now I'm looking at this thing. I got wires pulled out. I don't know what I'm doing.
You're getting in over your head.
As I'm going, I'm taking it. This thing's, it's going back in the shed. I'm putting it back in its box. I'll deal with this on another day, I guess, because I don't know what to do.
Just get the KTM out and burn off some frustration.
I don't know what to do. KLX. I wish it was
Sorry.
a KTM. I wish.
I'm always thinking big for you. That's my bad.
I know. I appreciate it. As I take it off of the stand, take 2 steps to roll it back to the shed, and CRF Mark shows up.
All right.
I'm like, oh, perfect. So now I throw it back up on the stand,
Right.
and me and him start going through
Start
it.
picking it apart.
We take the gas tank off. We take off plastics. We got this thing almost down to just the frame and the engine, and we start tracing wiring. Now, in the circuit, from my knowledge, again, if I don't know, put it in various different comments that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It goes stator to the coil to the spark plug to the cylinder. Right?
Okay.
Now, the stator gives you that first 12 volts of power.
Right.
I believe it sends it into the coil as, X times 1 ohms
Okay.
and comes out of the coil at X times Y ohms.
Well-
Meaning, I don't know what, but I think it amplifies it through the coil.
Well, so the coil is responsible for the timing. So you have your spark plug and it's got to fire at certain points in time. So if it was just
Right.
coming off the stator, it would either be on or off. And the coil builds up and then it's like a resistor.
Okay.
It builds up juice and then fires off juice at certain intervals to make sure that it's firing when it needs to blow up the gas.
Okay. So that becomes what we decided is probably the issue, the coil.
Coil. Okay. Well, yeah, that's a thing. So far, in my mind, and I don't know your specific motor, so far in my mind, you're still within the things that are normally maintenance.
Yeah.
Right? You started
Yeah.
with the carburetor, which you usually got to work on a carburetor. Now you're at the coil, which is something that you got to replace every certain period of time. So I'm still comfortable. Like, it's okay. This is still not. We're not gonna have to put the bike at the curb and throw it out just yet.
No. So, CRF Mark says, I think it's your coil. I'm for sure it's your coil. I go, okay. I think you're probably right. This all makes sense.
Right.
At that point, Husky Dave calls me. I say, yo, Husky Dave, appreciate you calling me back. Here's what's going on. You tell me what you think. We think it's the coil. Let me give you the rundown, and you tell me what you think it is. He asks me a couple questions. We talk about it. This guy's awesome. Super dude, bro. He's
He's a good man, actually.
And he kind of, defers to the same thing that we already thought, that this is the coil. Right?
Yeah.
So, okay, great. At that point, I get online. A coil is $25.
Right.
Great. I'm going to get this because I've been waiting for 2 weeks now. My wife and kids are going for 2 weeks. And for the previous 3 months, the only thing that I've been thinking about is for these 2 weeks,
So you could just
all
ride.
I have to do is go to work and ride dirt bikes.
Right.
And nobody's going to tell me how late I can ride dirt bikes. Nobody's going to tell me that I can't kickstart that dirt bike at 8 a.m. and go ride all Saturday if I want to.
Right. You don't got to be home for dinner. Nothing.
I was hyped. So I'm like, all right, bet. Coil.
Mom's out of town. Let's go.
Easy. Now, a coil, however, from my understanding, is a piece that is, it's a, you have to get the coil that's for your bike.
It's engine specific. Yes.
Yeah. So, after about 15 to 20 minutes of searching the internet, we find on eBay the only 08 Husky CR125 coil that's available in the world right now,
Obviously,
it appears.
because of the pandemic, supply chain issues.
For $25. Okay. Great. Let's order.
But it's eBay.
Right.
So now you're stuck waiting for it.
It's coming from across seas
Oh.
and costs $75 for shipping.
$100 for the privilege of waiting for it for a couple weeks.
It comes in 3 weeks. That's the early day.
Right.
A month on the late one.
Hopefully it makes it through whatchamacallit, customs, and gets over to you.
And so now this bike has robbed me
Right.
of 1 month of summertime dirt
Of
riding.
all your joy.
Yeah. So I got that coming, and hopefully it gets here, and hopefully the coil is the problem.
Right.
I had no way to check if it's the coil and not the stator or whatever. If it's the stator, we're on to a bigger set of issues.
You're back to square one, too.
Or the computer, the CDI.
Well, you don't. Let's not even discuss that as a possibility.
Well, luckily I have a CDI, a plug-and-play CDI available to me over in a couple towns over, should I need it.
Which is great, but the problem with the computer going bad is depending on how it malfunctioned, it's destroying other things on its way out the door. So it's not the computer. It's not the computer. Let's not even consider.
I hope it's the coil.
Yeah, of course it's the coil.
Because if it's not the coil, I got to put together another $3,000 to get a two-stroke.
Right.
Because the
It's the
KLX,
only way it works.
as I've said time and time again, the KLX just doesn't cut it.
Right.
Before I tell you how much the KLX doesn't cut it, I'll leave you with this piece of advice.
Okay.
It's sick to have a rare dirt bike.
Sure.
You go get an old TM or an old Husky before KTM bought them. Maybe you get something like a Riehu 300. One of these rare dirt bikes that's a real showstopper when you head to the trails.
Yeah.
And guys go, damn, what's that, bro? And you go, oh, this is my fill in the blank with
Whatever it
whatever
might be,
your
yeah.
ride is. The problem is, you're not, and I didn't know this until now, the supply chain for the older and the rarer a bike is, obviously the harder it is to get parts. Now, I didn't realize that an '08 Husky
Was old and rare.
was old and rare. I kind of thought like, well, it's not a Yamaha, but
Right.
it's not anything crazy.
But so for your purposes, is the engine in that '08 Husky, like, is that the last time they made that engine, or does that engine carry forward to where those parts are available under separate cover?
Well, that may be the case.
Okay.
But it seems like as I'm searching around, they're not readily available.
Okay.
But you could get to them. You can get to the parts. I got the one off of eBay. I think I could find an OEM coil,
Okay.
but it would probably be more expensive
Absolutely.
and still coming from overseas, which means
Right.
I'm still waiting a month.
Right.
So, my best bet or my best advice is like, if you have one or two dirt bikes, if you're gonna have one dirt bike, right?
You're only going to own one.
Let it be one of the big four out of Japan, or maybe one of the Austrian under the KTM flag.
Okay.
Because then you're going to have parts readily available to you
Right.
inside of the U.S. and be able to get them probably within a week's time.
Right.
You don't want to be jammed up waiting on bike parts.
Right. You're probably, if you stick with those, there's probably stores in the area where you can go and find a lot of those parts.
Some.
I wouldn't-
Definitely if you're on a Japanese bike, you
Yeah.
could find
I wouldn't
parts.
be surprised if you couldn't take that Japanese bike like to the Berlin Mart and there's somebody in there that's got some parts sitting on a table somewhere.
There could be. The Japanese bikes, I think, are even better supplied than KTM, the KTM umbrella, but the KTMs are getting popular enough now that you'll find them.
easier.
And then even within that, get yourself get yourself one of their popular bikes.
Right.
Because even within, if you have a CRF 250, the parts are everywhere.
Right.
See, it's the Honda Accord of dirt bikes.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a little bit heart wrenching because I was so gassed up
this is
for
your
this
big
to be my
window.
dirt week.
Yeah.
So the boys, we helped the coach move.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, well, let's go ride now that we're done with this. I'm like, all right, where are we going to go? Because all I have
Hopefully
is
on the street somewhere.
all I got is a KLX. Well, we'll do some fire roads or maybe get to some water. Like, we're not going to go anywhere that you can't go.
Right.
I'm like, all right, cool. We decided to go down to Collins Lakes, down past Williamstown.
Okay.
Which, as I looked at it on the map, as we were kind of out into the woods of Collins Lakes, I wouldn't say we were lost. We were just away from our bearings. Okay? So I pull up the map and I find out that we're closer to Vineland than to Williamstown.
Right.
Which I didn't realize that was the case going down 322.
Yeah.
We're in Collins Lakes. I bring the KLX. There's some sandy trails, but we could stay off of them and just stay on the stuff that's hard packed. And I'm like, all right, great. Now, that's true, but also all the things that you want to get to, like the lake,
Or on the other side of the sand.
are on the other side of the sand. So again, I'm back to my first couple weeks of riding where I'm fighting against the KLX in sandy trails, and I dropped it once. I was you don't know how angry I was that I was back to riding the KLX in the sand and just like no grip on it. Once you hit the sand, it's game over.
Right.
You just can't do it. I've gotten pretty decent over the course of the past few months. Maybe there's guys who could do it and rip supermoto tired bikes through the sand. I'm not that guy. I was so angry. It hurt me so much, dude. Because I'm like, yeah, let's go. I wanted to be out there having a good time. There were so many people out there. This looked like a country trap video.
Okay.
Like old country hip hop. They're in there. These guys. There's girls in bikini tops riding one on the front, one on the back of these quads that go underwater. They're riding through the lake up to the handlebars with a snorkel exhaust out of the quad.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't know if I'm in Jersey or Georgia here, cuz. We turn around, here comes a Chevy 1500, an old one, barreling down a trail and just splashes into the water and up and out the other side. Like, you might as well have had Jelly Roll out there singing in front of a lifted pickup, cuz. It was cool. They're out there with the kids and stuff and got fires lit and barbecuing and tents, and everybody's got some sort of off-road vehicle.
Right.
So it was cool, and the trails back there are great. They go for eons.
Okay.
It rivals the hollowed ground of Pine Hill.
All right.
It's not as it's probably Pine Hill has more fun packed in per square inch, but I think there's way more square inches of Collins Lakes, and I hadn't seen all of it, so we stumbled across the Unabomber shelter. Out there in the middle of the woods, we roll up, and there's this circular tin shelter with a wood stove and built a metal chimney out of it. It's all made of sheet metal.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, what are you going to do in the middle of riding? You got to stop and cook something and get something to eat.
It was pretty amazing. Which brings me to the bikes I touched segment today.
Well, this should be a big one. We've had 3 weeks to be touching bikes.
Yeah, I have two. There's two on the agenda.
All right.
I'm only going to tell you about one of them.
Yeah, save one. Let's build up a catalog.
So I'm riding with Jake, 690 Jake, who's 690 I've ridden before.
Sure.
And CRF Mark, who's riding around on a CRF 450.
It's right there in his name.
Fully tricked out. Beautiful. It's beautiful. He just put new rims on it with dirt tires. He had it supermotoed out before and had the same problem as me. So he solved it by, buying. He found some, again, because it's a Honda 450, which, probably 25% of America who rides dirt bikes has a Honda 450. He pretty easily found a pair of dirt rims to be able to throw on it. Well, I'm still searching for a pair of used KLX dirt rims.
So that's what I was going to ask. Do they exist? Do KLX dirt rims exist? Mm-hmm. You're just not able to source them at this time.
Not used ones.
Okay.
New ones I could get.
But they're pricey?
It's like $1,500 for the rims.
Okay.
And then I still got to get tires, throw another $300 on top of that.
$300 for tires for a dirt bike?
Give or take, 2 to 3. Depends on how quality of tires you get, That's for the pair, though. Not for
I understand.
Yeah. It depends. They're like maybe 200, closer to 200. It depends on the quality.
Right.
So this thing is gorgeous. Everything matches. Everything's red and white. It's got the dirt tires on it now. It's plated. He's got a 12 o'clock wheelie bar on the back, although he doesn't get too much past maybe like that's 3.
4:45.
He gets at about 2 o'clock.
Okay.
He's maybe like a 1:30 boy. So I'm like, yo, at this point, we've been out there for 2 hours. These guys are having a good time, except that I'm slowing them down, and they keep having to wait for me to catch up. But they're like, nah, you're not slowing us down. I'm like, listen, guys, I know I'm slow. You ain't got to lie to me, Craig. I'm like, look, man, let me. Well, they're burning a doob. They're smoking a doob. I don't smoke doobs. It weirds me out. Like, yo, let me rip the 450 a little bit. Give me some enjoyment out here, right? Now, the 450 is a beast. And a lot of guys say, 450s are way more motorcycle than you'll ever be able to use all the power of.
Right.
And for me, it's a lot, dude. His has a particularly sensitive throttle too. So as soon as you turn that throttle, it wants to throw you back. The KLX will do that. The Husky will do it, but not with the same strength that the 450 does it with.
Right.
It wants to kick you off the bike. And it's, it's a 4-stroke 450, so it's heavier than the 125 I'm used to. So I'm trying to kind of rip it like the 125. I'm not riding it like the KLX, because the KLX you have to ride so carefully and keep, in my mind that these tires are not built for this. So
Right.
I'm like, all right, well, let me rip. I know this. I got to get used to the power and the throttle, but give me like a couple of minutes and I'll adjust. The Honda 450, I don't know if this is the 450L. I believe it might be, because I think it's the street legal version, unless they took a 450 X or whatever the other 450s are and just made it legal.
Okay.
But the L is supposed to be like the tuned down version of a 450. This is a street legal bike. This is not built for single track. It's too much power. You can't get on there's no way to get on the throttle in tight, twisty single track. If you're on a straightaway, you could rip, right? But if you're on single track, there's absolutely zero chance that you're going to use more than 10% of what that bike has to offer. It's just too much.
Right.
Now, it was funner than the KLX, and I think it would be ideal in more the space we were in. I didn't have a lot of wide open, right?
You didn't have room to just gun it and open it up.
I couldn't let it open. So if you're on long straightaway fire roads or even sandy tracks, whatever, I think it would be fine. But I also still think that even with a straightaway, I'm not capable of getting her out of second gear because she's so powerful and so fast.
Right.
It was more than maybe one day, 5-10 years down the line, I'll feel like I'm ready for a 450. But I'm not sure if that will ever be the case because of the level of power that this thing comes with.
I would assume for the way that you ride, the 450 wouldn't come into play until you changed terrain. Till you were really going up some steep slopes and really needed that extra power just to kick your ass up the hill.
Yeah.
I think that's where, because you don't seem to me like you're the kind of person who really just wants to get out on the dirt and just see how fast you can go.
No.
And how quickly you can get there. That doesn't, you want to be challenging yourself.
I want to go quickly through tight sections.
Crazy spots, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where the only place the 450 comes into play, and that is, I got to go vertically up this building in order to get to the next spot, and I need more power than I can.
At which point, I really think like a 250 two-stroke or a 300 two-stroke, if you put a 300 two-stroke next to a 450 four-stroke on a steep hill climb,
right?
I think that they wind up being neck and neck because the two-stroke is lighter and
Right.
whatever. But so it's a dope, but it's an absolutely sick bike.
Oh yeah, you don't sound like you're knocking it. You sound
No.
like you just sound like you feel like it's above your weight class right
And
now.
he's got it tricked out to make it look as fresh as possible. Little carbon fiber bits and pieces on it, custom seat on it. He's got at Chirby's hand guards, and the thing is, I'll tell you one thing that long hair CRF Mark's solid dude. One of the things that he's best at is building up a motorcycle with the right bits and pieces.
Okay.
Like
got an eye for it.
every bike that he has, he doesn't have a whack bike.
Okay.
There's not a whack piece on any of his bikes, and he's got a decent collection of bikes. Even his pit bike, that's a little Chinese pit bike, is like the top tier version of a Chinese pit bike.
Right.
He's got a SSR 175 or 190 or something. It's a beast as far as pit bikes are concerned, it's a beast of a pit bike. But so, that was that. So it was fun to ride the 450. But it just again made me yearn for my two-stroke
For your Husky
125.
to be working.
That's all I want is I want to be on a two-stroke ripping through the woods. And
Right.
the fact that I can't, that now I'm waiting for 3 weeks for my 125 to come back, it's heart-wrenching.
Don't you have a third bike now?
No. So the the TM which is the Bull Husk. He owns the TM 250 motocross bike. That is off in the shop getting addressed.
Gotcha.
Now, the beauty of it is that he's trying to store that bike at my house.
Right. It's both yours.
Yeah, we just keep it in my yard. But right now it's in the shop, so I can't even ride that.
Gotcha.
You know, let's see what's on the agenda here.
What else you got?
I got some news stories for you.
I like it when you do the news. Current events, but don't say the date.
I typed in dirt bike news.
Right.
We came up with a couple of very important
Some
things.
bangers, yeah.
The number one most important story that popped up under dirt bike news came from the WeHo Times.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that. Something out of West Hollywood where from my understanding, they're a real tough bunch out there.
Sure. They're
You know?
famous for that.
It's a real masculine neighborhood.
A lot of UFC guys from West Hollywood.
It's a masculine neighborhood, dude. You know? And they have the it's not the WeHo Times, it's WeHoville.
WeHoville.
Our city, our stories.
Oh, nice.
Let me read you this very important topic from July 3rd, 2023. That's today.
This just in.
This just in. These are all stories from the last 24 hours.
Right.
Bold headline reads, "Watch, dirt bike swarm Sunset Boulevard."
Swarm.
So I'm thinking to myself, we're from Jersey, right across the bridge from the city of brotherly thugs.
Right.
When dirt bikes swarm,
They swarm.
they swarm.
It's a swarmy swarm.
I've seen 1,000 dirt bikes coming across the Walt Whitman Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
On Dirt Bike Rail's birthday, on the Dirt Bike Rail ride out, there are literally thousands upon thousands of dirt bikes all riding together through the streets of Philly.
No question.
It's a spectacle.
Yeah.
On a regular basis, on a regular Sunday in the city of Philadelphia, when they swarm the streets, you get 50 to 100.
Yeah. You get a decent turnout regardless of where you are. Yeah.
And nobody cares because that's normal order of things out here.
Right.
If you're listen, if you're in certain places and you're shredding down the dirt bikes in the street with maybe 10 or 15 of your buddies, it's a spectacle because it's just not something you see every day.
It's out of the ordinary. Yeah.
Not in 10 or 15, they don't even
You'd be concerned because that's not enough.
wonder where the rest of them. You lost the rest of the pack, guys. Yeah, 100 dirt bikes on Broad Street is no cause for alarm.
No.
They don't care. Here's how it starts. Nearly 24 dirt bike riders
That's almost
raced
23.
loudly down Sunset Boulevard on Sunday, popping wheelies and disrupting traffic.
Oh, those sons of bitches.
And this comes from a very reliable source documented by Brian Hamilton on Instagram.
Well, I mean.
So now we're making we're making a mockery of the news by taking our news stories off of Instagram. But
Well,
that's a completely different.
Are we really though? Because that's like how everything gets propagated these days. Like I don't think anybody like sits down and tunes into Channel 6 at 6 p.m. anymore. You go on Instagram and you go on Twitter to learn what's going on around you.
Nah.
So this man it's not good. I'm not
Nah,
I'm not advocating for it.
That's what I'm saying. You're making a mockery of the news by pulling your source off of Instagram.
Okay.
Anyway, I wish I could get to the video because it keeps not showing me the video. Maybe if I refresh the page, but that doesn't really matter, honestly. Because I would send it to you, but it'll just take too long.
So if I'm looking at the video, what am I saying?
So there is
Abject horror.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, possibly 17 guys
Well,
on dirt bikes sitting at a red light.
oh.
They're waiting to make a right-hand turn. Okay, now the light has changed. It's green.
Okay.
They're going.
Oh boy.
One guy is riding a wheelie. The rest of them are all doing about 15 to 20 miles per hour.
Now here's my question, because I have like a window for this. The guy
Being very gentlemanly with the cars around them.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to say. The guy who's doing the wheelie, is he going in the correct direction of traffic?
Yes.
Is he really close to any other cars?
No, he's
Okay.
surrounded by all dirt bikes.
Okay. Carry on.
It has become a very familiar scene in West Hollywood as well as New York, Oakland, Philly, Chicago, and other major cities. These groups engage in reckless behavior, disregarding traffic laws and performing stunts, which may be true. But in this particular video,
Not there.
we were waiting at a stoplight,
Right. And then we
and
did a wheelie.
only one of the 17 guys was doing a wheelie.
So, I mean, I have issue with that whole framing because I don't think there's anybody who doesn't engage in reckless behavior behind the wheel at some point.
Right.
Right? I mean, I certainly have gone faster than the speed limit in a reckless fashion a few times in my life. But because I was in a car, there wasn't anybody, taking a picture of it and going, oh, look what's happened to society now.
Right.
People are driving their Chargers down the road really fast. Like, it's just old. It's this old person mentality of, like I said, though, they were going the right way and they weren't getting real close to people who just didn't want to be involved whatsoever.
Yeah.
So then why do I care?
Look,
why do I really care?
We shouldn't care, right? Because if we're okay with the boys, we've discussed the boys who run this particular part of the world.
Right.
A couple of them over there in Gloucester City. If those boys want to ride in formation 30 deep on their choppers, then that's what happens.
Yeah.
And it's not a problem.
No.
Now, because we're on dirt bikes,
Right.
all of a sudden now this is the worst. This is criminal activity, and these guys are no good, and
Yeah, I've gone on the major highways in this area on a decent number of occasions where, for whatever reason, whatever their motive is, there's Harleys 12 wide on 295 pacing themselves at like 40 miles an hour just to screw with everybody else because they're trying to make some point, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't care. So, but that doesn't get the headlines of look at these vile creatures and what they're up to.
I know. And now, but, West Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that was one of the news stories that popped up. Also, big news out of Richland Town, Pennsylvania.
All right, now we're back on our coast. Let's go.
Yeah. Now, Richland Town, I have no idea where it's at.
Don't either.
I don't think
I've ever heard those words before.
I'm sure it's out there by Pennsylvania somewhere. I can't imagine that it's anywhere particularly populated because this is a news story.
Just spelled the way it sounds?
Richland Town, PA.
Okay.
There was a KTM 500, a 2017 KTM 500 stolen from the side of a house in Richland Town, Pennsylvania. Now, here's where this is why I have zero remorse for this.
Right.
Because this retard had it unsecured on the side of his house. And it got stolen between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. in the morning. So you left your bike out there, didn't lock it up, and went in and went to sleep and left it unsecured on the side of your house. What did you thought that was not ever going to happen? You thought because you lived in Richland Town, PA, that somebody wasn't at some point going to roll by and go, damn, there's a fresh 2017 KTM for my taking.
So, I mean,
I've got cameras and alarms on my bikes.
so Richland Town, PA, I'll tell you two things about it. We'll go in order and we'll see how you feel about it.
Please do.
It's a town of 1,200 people.
Uh-huh.
Does that make you feel any different about the safety of your bike at your house on
No.
your property?
No, because how many people are in the town next to it?
Well, it's in Bucks County.
Okay.
So,
Right.
there's population around, but just not there. I don't know why you don't secure your belongings to some extent. I don't think he needs 10 chains to hold it to the foundation
No,
of the
but
house.
one maybe.
Yeah, it would be nice, a little bike lock.
Yeah. Put something on it. Don't expect that because you love and respect bikes and because you would never steal a man's bike.
Right.
Don't expect that somebody else. Don't expect that one of these kids from West Hollywood isn't going to come out
Shoot
here
on
and
over, yeah.
take your bike.
If it's got monetary value, you should lock it up.
Yeah, I concur. Put it behind bring it in the kitchen.
Put it in the back. Yeah, well, some people do that.
Yeah, put it in your kitchen.
Have a little cereal while you're sitting on the harness.
That way you might as well pull it in next to your bed and sleep with it. That way you can for sure
Then you're
know that your
always
bike
safe,
is
yeah.
safe. You got to respect your bike and show her love, or else she's not going to show you no love.
That's how it works. It's a two-way street.
We've got an unsettling story out of Rochester, New York.
I don't know if I can take another one tonight, but all right.
So Rochester is crumbling. right?
For a long time, yes.
Yeah, it's never been known to be like a nice spot, I don't believe.
No, it's
kind of a mountain town that's fallen apart.
well, it's a mountain town with a whole lot of customer service warehouse type buildings.
Okay.
So like there's not a lot of upkeep and things like that. It's just a whole lot of people come into work and then they leave.
Right.
Right? So that's how you decimate a town, is make it a place where everybody needs to go from 9 to 5 and then leave with all of their resources.
Yeah.
And not give back to the town.
How far is it from New York?
Like from New York City? It's a decent, I'm going to say like about 2-hour ride.
Okay. I
It's a
think
decent little ride.
it may be closer to Buffalo. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Okay. Well, on Monday at 1:15 a.m., which was this morning, Rochester police were on an unrelated call in the area of East Main and South Clinton Ave when a dirt bike rode by the police, appearing to taunt them by revving the engine and riding around in circles. As the officers left their call, they saw the dirt bike stopped on South Clinton Ave with the rider trying to get the bike started again. The moral of the story here is if your bike is clapped out and doesn't start every time,
Don't taunt.
don't taunt the police.
Don't taunt anybody.
I mean, dummy.
Like,
You know if your bike is built for a police chase or not. And if it's not, don't go on a police
don't
chase
look
with
for
your
one.
bike.
Right, right. You may wind up in one, but don't look for one.
Oh, man, dude. Officers were able to safely detain the rider and found a loaded SCCY 9mm handgun in his waistband. He was taken to Monroe County Jail,
I'm
and the
gonna assume
dirt
it
bike
wasn't right.
was...
So look, listen.
Oh, yeah. Dummy of the day goes to...
I'm doing my best not to judge the man. I don't walk in his shoes.
Yeah.
But first of all, you're carrying what I'm going to assume is an unregistered weapon, where you can't be carrying a weapon at all, let alone unregistered.
Right.
You're going to pull up to the cops and taunt them on a bike that this is not the first time that bike stalled out and didn't kick over again. What? You're literally asking, like, this is adjacent to suicide by cop. This is a guy who needed somewhere to stay for the evening.
Yeah.
And this is what he got out of it.
That's
This is
my
his
best
3 hots and a
assumption.
cot.
My best assumption is that Julio Rivera, 30, who's charged with criminal possession of a weapon, my best, what did I just say?
Best guess?
Yeah, my best guess is that Julio has been on the streets for a while, and he's been tired of sleeping using his tire as a pillow, and has decided that he was going to try and go get him somewhere to stay for a few weeks.
He got into a fight with his old lady and took off on the bike and decided this was better than going back home.
What a dummy, dude. I like the idea of a police chase on a bike.
I'm not, look, any one of those components, fine, but like,
You throw them all together.
and then instigate it all yourself. You're dumb.
Here's
you're
the thing.
dummy.
You want to taunt the police and skate on them?
Okay.
Man, do it.
Put yourself on a 450 with some
You
nice
want
carbon
to?
fiber
No,
on
no,
it
no.
and
Listen,
go.
hear me out. If you want to taunt the police and then skate on them, all right. I understand. I can comprehend it.
Yeah, I understand your feelings.
If you want to go out riding around all night on a clapped out dirt bike, yeah, I can understand that.
Wouldn't be the first person.
You want to carry an unregistered firearm because you live in a dangerous neighborhood. I can understand that.
Yeah.
You want to put all those in a pot and make a jambalaya of reasons to be locked up?
You're playing Holden Tank
That's
bingo
where you
at this
lose
point.
me. I couldn't imagine. I like the idea of a police chase on a dirt bike, right?
It would be interesting because you can go onto terrain that they can't get to unless they're prepared to chase you, off-road and whatnot.
I've had once, maybe twice, where I've been riding from the trails back to the house
Right.
on a not street legal dirt bike, and I see a cop fly by me and like into a parking lot. Now, I don't know if they were turning around in that parking lot. I never stayed. I kick it into high gear at that point and imagine that I'm on a police chase anyway.
Right.
And it's exciting. And if you stretch that out, throw some trails and some shortcuts in the middle of it, that's a good time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You really get you get your pulse going there.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know, given the opportunity to get in a full bore police chase, I don't know that I would take them on the run or if I would pull over and put on my best white voice and say,
Right.
"Hey, sir, how are you?"
Take the bass out your voice.
Yeah, no, I understand. I was just riding from the trails.
I don't know what
home.
I was thinking. You know how it is.
Yeah, I don't know which way I'd swing, but the idea of taking him on the run is enticing. So I understand, Julio, but you should have threw the gun in the bushes
You stacked too many bricks.
as soon as your bike died out and puttered to a stop.
Yeah.
Take that thing off your waistband and toss it in the bush. Come back and get that later. Not the smartest guy in the world.
Certainly doesn't sound like it.
And finally, a really sad story.
All right, let's bring it down a little bit.
A sad story out of Power County, Idaho. A teenage boy so Power County, Idaho apparently is one of these far-flung reaches of Idaho. I know.
It's Idaho.
I know. I'm telling you what is my research here. I've researched these extensively.
Understood.
Is Tess in here? I'm smelling dog farts.
Well, she's down the hall. She's right over
Right next to the fan, blowing it in at us.
She put us downstream.
Phew. So he crashes his dirt bike out by Atlantic Falls and by some water, and is so far out, breaks his back, breaks his collarbone in a single. They called it a single vehicle crash.
Okay.
And he's so far flung that they wind up calling in an airlift to get him up out of there.
Okay.
Now, he's in critical right now, but expected to be okay.
God bless.
So, even with the broken back, we hope that means he's going to be able to walk,
Of course.
then run, then eventually get back on that horse and take her back through the back country of Idaho. But
You can't let one terrible accident deter you from your love.
well, I don't know. I don't think you can, but I also think that you can ride safe.
Sure.
I also think that when I know when I'm pushing the limit too much.
You can sense when you're outside of your level of control.
I know when I'm pushing the limit too much,
Yeah.
and I reel it back in because I have way too many things to take care of.
Right.
That I can't wind up in a cast for months at a time. So it can be done safely.
Yeah.
And if you're a 17-year-old kid, safety is probably not your main concern.
You don't feel safety.
Yeah.
You don't feel any concern for safety. There is no tingling in the back of your neck when you hit 150 miles an hour. It's just, where's 160 at? Let's go. Right.
Yeah. So hopefully they didn't mention the kid's name, but I feel for you, buddy, and I hope that he makes a speedy recovery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a KLR in your driveway yet?
I do not.
All right.
Well, we know what I'm going for.
You're going for the Rieju.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stop gap on the way.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
It's like they say, go Riejo or go home. That's where I'm at.
They say that. Smoke Dog's in Italy.
I saw that.
And
Looks like he's having himself a nice time.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Smoke Dog,
Oh.
who now proposed to his fiance.
Oh, very nice.
It's about time.
I was gonna ask you how
I don't
long
know.
have they
Long.
been? Long.
Everybody's been telling him, like, yo, when are you going to propose
Just
to
gotta
this
do it.
girl?
You gotta get it done.
So he finally did it in Italy.
Well, congratulations. That's a way to go.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
If you're going to propose,
Might as well go to Italy.
might as well do it in Venice.
Get right in front of the fountain.
But he keeps sending me pictures of Ducatis and,
Right.
tricked out Hondas. He's like, there, yo, the boys are out. I'm like, well, look at him, cuz. Obviously, you see all these bikes that you keep sending me. Obviously, as an Italian kid, this is built, ingrained into your DNA.
Right. You grew up in the land of Ducati and Lamborghini and Ferrari. Like, you know nothing but
Right.
high precision driving.
You're disrespecting the motherland by not yet having a bike, Smoke.
Right.
So let's see if he comes home and he buys a bike.
Maybe he brings one with him.
Packs it on the...
Yeah, like you can get one of the electric ones and just fit it in a suitcase.
All right, well, that's about enough for me
All right.
this evening. We appreciate if you're watching on the playback. We are here every Monday night at 8:30. Do all the things that they ask you to do as a YouTube channel. You know what they are.
Like and subscribe,
Yeah.
follow.
Yeah, all of that. We're coming back week after week
Payday is here and the check is in the mail.
We're warming up. It's going to keep getting hotter from here. We had a little bit of a break.
Payday.
Reset a little bit, just a little fresh air, you know.
We're going to get a guest in next week.
Oh, okay.
A major name guest
Oh,
in the off-road dirt bike world.
we have to get another camera.
You're not going to want to miss this. Well, it may be a Zoom call.
Okay.
But this
I'm
is
gonna have
a
to figure out how to run a Zoom call.
this is an interview that nobody's gotten before.
Okay.
Well, maybe, well, like ESPN and like major broadcasters have
None
got,
of the podcasters.
but none of the off-road dirt bike podcasters have had an interview of this magnitude.
Okay.
So we expect you guys to
Get on in here. Huddle
subscribe and come on back next week at 8:30 to watch that podcast, because I guarantee it's going to be one of the best yet. Until then, I'll be sitting and waiting for my coil to show up. So get out there and hit the dirt for me. I'm out of here.